All right, welcome to Potholes State Park in Washington State. We're north of Yakima, out over here into eastern Washington. Let's say we're past the central Washington point here. And again, I'm no geology expert. I'm just a dude with an environmental science education and a technical background who is perhaps even a bit of a misfit at times in this chaotic world of ours. So take it for what it is. But this is a reservoir, but it was, they call them the potholes because there's these potholes, and this is not sort of like prairie potholes. Maybe you've heard of those in the Midwest. That's from the glaciers retreating and left these pockets behind in the landscape with water, and of course really important breeding grounds for birds and extremely important habitat. And of course all that was destroyed when things were converted to larger agriculture. But you can still see prairie potholes, and of course you've got all sorts of things in places like Minnesota where you can see those sorts of features. Again, amateur geologist, you can find a lot of far more information than I could ever hope to even have a clue about from other people, or other videos. But basically, this is a pothole too, but it was made from the melting of Lake Missoula, which was an ancient lake, massive. There's a place not far from here called Dry Falls, and Dry Falls was carved as Lake Missoula was draining. Damn, dude. And this was just a massive lake. Imagine something, bigger than the Great Lakes. From what I understand, bigger than, say, Lake Michigan. I'll have to get a clarity on that exact size. Maybe I'll leave that in the description. But yeah, just an insane, massive lake. It was one of the I believe the largest waterfall at the time in the world when it was draining. And so the potholes were features that were dug into the surface of the earth as these massive floodwaters were pushing through. So imagine like this, the floor, the floor of a river, and there's so much current it starts to dig in and pick into the floor. And once it gets a little depression, now it can even pick in further and further and widen this depression. So there's all these little indentations in the landscape that were from the force and velocity of that floodwater that picked into the landscape and carved these out. So in this case, it's been filled into a reservoir for human use, so the water levels have been raised. It's massive. Again, I'll have to get the square footage and put that in the video too. Learning as I go here. Next time I can try to get some of those factoids into my videos, but yeah, it's been a very beautiful park. It's December 26th, just the day after Christmas. It was a wild drive-in. There was a winter storm warning. And I'm always so smart about checking weather, and believe it or not, I had checked the weather a few days before and the warning hadn't come, and I just didn't check recent weather. And so always check your weather before you leave so you don't end up like me. Because I was driving through a winter storm. It was more than I'd hoped for, and I thought, this was a mistake. But I just tried to maybe not make more mistakes after that first one. And I eventually got through the storm. The temperatures raised, and it started to rain. The snow turned to rain, and here in Potholes State Park, there's no snow, and it was just lightly raining when I got here, so I made it through the snow. But there was a moment I thought I might be a permanent part of the landscape. And yeah, be a part of the geology myself, part of the bedrock, bioclastic material. But I've got my shelter set up over here. I've got the Victory shelter, and then I brought the wagon top because I was expecting a lot of rain today. And I also have my little 2-person tent, but it was such a rough drive in. I set up my big tent so I could be comfortable. I needed a hotel room after that drive. So yeah, there you can see there's folks using the reservoir and fishing even the day after Christmas. It's a great time to be out. You know, there's nobody here, just a few sparse visitors. Basically have the whole park to yourself and you can do whatever you like. So it's about 2 o'clock, and I'm gonna shed some layers and kind of take a walk on foot and explore. And then I've got some firewood, probably make another fire when I get back and pick up some more wood. This trip wasn't super well planned. I was debating if I was even going to get out, but I really knew that I needed to. So neglecting some household responsibilities to try and stay balanced, and I'll try and feed in some more videos if I can here. If I end with this video, I wasn't able to grab any more stuff, but I think I'll probably lay some more stuff in here if I can. So again, this is a learning process, trying to kind of evolve things organically. And I don't want to get kind of too bogged down in the editing and creative process that I maybe lose track of the larger picture. And I think that's something I've often done on creative projects. So rather deliver you something than I'd rather keep getting roughed out shapes and things out than sitting on something until it's absolutely perfect. I don't think that's the right approach. So bear with me as we keep evolving. And of course, whatever you're interested in, I would like to hear about, because that can shape my responses. And I've worked with groups as a naturalist and guide in the past, so I like sharing things, and for me it's an evolution. I'm a part of the journey with you. It's not like I'm some teacher, because I don't know anything. I'm just a dude, and I'm just experiencing some cool stuff, and it's fun to share it with others. And I think Washington State has so much uniqueness and beauty, and there's so many little micro beauty things that people don't ever get to see, and I think it's important to share those things. So I just want to give another shout out to the Washington State Parks. They're doing such a good job, always keeping things beautifully tip-top shape. Will say camping's again cramped. I'm glad it's not peak summer. I'd be literally on top of my neighbors. But hey, win some, you lose some. Just a future consideration. Washington State Parks, just consider a little more space. I don't know what we taxpayers have to do, but yeah, I know it's tough. You only get a certain square footage, a certain amount of space, and then that's it. Some ducks over there. You know, let's also remind ourselves these parks do have to generate revenue, right? They run on federal and state dollars, but they also need funding, and so you got to get. And there's also a high demand for camping in the state, So you do need a lot of sites. So I guess it does make sense when you think of those considerations, but shelters help, overhead shelters, other things to give yourself a little more privacy. And another reason why it's so nice to be in the winter months. But I'm gonna migrate back and we'll keep on cooking. And here's Potholes State Park. Very beautiful and unique place. All right, we are back. Got some tea here. What a desolate place would be a world without a flower. Clara Lucas Balfour. Excuse me. And, whoops. Talking to plants is one way of talking directly to spirit. That's fair. Huh. Looks like raccoon to me. This is part 2 of our videos today. And they also have some cabins you can rent. This is a very cool park. Sequest State Park in the previous video, you know, it's a beautiful park. It's just a little bit more compact. And I will say Potholes is a large state park. There's a lot of offerings here. They have different types of cabins. There was some sort of alarm going off at one of the cabins last night when I was driving through. You know, there's an empty loop. And it sounded like a smoke alarm. And I actually tried to go up to the cabin and turn it off, just like check. And of course, everything's locked. I'm sure maybe the ranger heard it today, or the campground host. But pretty cool little cabins. I really like sleeping in my personal tents because they become like I get tied to them with time because, you know, I pair bond to them. Basically, I sleep in them. So it's always nice to have your tent because kind of no matter where you are, it's like your little familiar living room. So it's a psychological comfort. So I tend to always bring my big tents over a cabin, but I could see this being great in the winter months or the summer if you're someone who is just not into setting up tents and you just want something easy, or if you are a tent camper and you just want something different and easy, or you want to just do something cool, or maybe someone you love has some accessibility issues or health issues, or logistically speaking, snag one of these, drive out to it, throw your crap in the car, well, first, then the other things, and boom, here you are. So pretty cool. I know nothing too profound about a cabin, we all get it, but just sort of the way my mind works. I've stayed in some different yurts in different state park systems, and I can't say I've ever stayed in a little cabin like this. So I might have to book one and just check it out. Look at the roof on that. Those are well constructed. Those are gorgeous. That would be so cool to build in your backyard, or if you had a big property to build one of those little cabins. I wonder what the total cost investment is on that. You know, given it's the state parks, I bet they did a pretty good. I wouldn't be surprised if that's pretty economically optimal. Look at those birds over there. There's a mass of birds. That white fuzziness is birds, as they say. Birds aren't real. The rest of them aren't. Those are real. But all the birds you see in the city, those are just drones. And by the way, if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, look up birds aren't real. Holy Lord, man. Now, these potholes traditionally, are 100% habitat zones, but I wonder, reservoirs get a lot of flack because they cause a lot of benefits for the community, and they also cause damages. Benefits are, have irrigation, agriculture for your community. That's the whole point often of a reservoir. It's transformed the economic areas of a place and food production. Previous to reservoirs, you couldn't even produce food in these areas. Now they're food hubs. Also access to boating, recreation, fishing. A lot of times species are brought in for recreational fishing. And then that leads into the downsides is you have a massive ecological change. You have, modification of the entire landscape. You have areas that get inundated birds landed down there, and I had pointed at the sky. I'm sorry. Yeah, you get basically, inundated landscape and damaged, completely lost areas of history even. A lot of Indian fishing grounds and things were submerged, say when the Roosevelt Dam was built on the Columbia River. So, these reservoirs also have impacts, but they also can provide huge amounts of habitat, although it's a different type of habitat. So it's always a little interesting. I used to be a bit more of an environmental purist, I would say, where raw and free nature was kind of the ideal. And I think as I've gotten older, there's going to be there's give and take, and I think this is really managed quite well. So just really shout out. And the reservoir here is really beautiful. See some fish scales here. How cool is that? Might be a smudge on my camera. Hang on. Holy shit, look at all these sub-Vs. I'm seeing 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh my lord. I've never... Can't say I've seen something this distinct before. Where there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Look at all these mini Vs. 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, look at this. And then there's kind of a lead V. I can't say I've seen anything like this, dude. This is crazy. I mean, I guess I have seen big flocks. Maybe I'm just over-exaggerating, but there's so many little Vs. It's actually just crazy. And it has to be really grueling work. No, I thought these might be Canadian geese. These sure sound like it, huh? Wow, next time you see a goose at the park, just remember, maybe you'll go give him a Ritz cracker from your cabinet. You'll say, "Hey, you must be tired. I didn't realize you did all that." And they go, "Yeah. That's why I'm sitting here at this pond, and you guys are always shooing me away." Now, I wonder why they're calling out, because that has to take energy, right? Like, this is kind of an ecological question, or life cycle. I don't really know. Not life cycle, but yeah, I guess ecology or evolution subject. Why would they be honking while they're flying? Maybe it's a signaling. Seems like that would be tiring physically, and also, I guess, from just a pure like ecology point of view, costly in terms of energy, right? Because like if I even, anyone who's talking all day or singing or shouting all day, like it's kind of make you tired. It's an energy output. So I wonder what the deal is with that. I'll have to look into that. Wow, it's really something. We got some stragglers over here. They're saying, hey man, I am exhausted. And I'm not kidding you, there's another one on its way of a similar proportion. Holy bejesus. There they go. See them bobbing their heads. There's one here, and then there's one there. So they like to hang out in the brush. You always see them on the ground. They pop up into the shrubbery. Huh. Well, they're fast. I like that sound, I'm not gonna lie. Kind of jealous. I wish I could make that sound. Sort of like a cat's purr. So this here is the Nemo wagon top on the left and the Victory shelter on the right, and I love these things. I'm going to give a shout out to Mr. Julian for his sales ability, because I didn't have anything by Nemo until I talked with him. I feel like if Nemo's out there listening, they need to give this man something for his efforts. Gonna throw another log on the fire here. But I'm not gonna lie, it's feeling pretty cool with all the lights. And this area is just fantastic. So thank you, Potholes State Park, for your hard work. I love this place. It's been an amazing trip, and I'm looking forward to my next few days. All right, so it's a crisp morning. Had to have a fire to stay warm because, I don't know, I just woke up. It was really, there was a lot of rain last night, and so the humidity was a lot higher, and I just felt quite chilly. It's always good to kind of trim down your layers while you're sleeping into your long underwear, and then you have a lot of things to layer up, and I slept in a lot of my clothes, so hopping out was cold, but warmed up now, and Just doing a little more reading this morning about the Potholes Reservoir. Apparently, I think the deepest is like around 100 feet. I was also reading the Columbia River. We're south of the Cooley Dam right now. There's a number of dam systems along the Columbia, so I think we always hear about the Columbia, the Cooley Dam being one of the more important ones, obviously, because that's where most of the hydropower is being generated. But number of dams up and down the Columbia to navigate it. There used to be, according to what I was reading, up to some studies estimate 15 million steelhead and salmon that would migrate up the Columbia River all the way up into Canada. Now those numbers are down to hundreds of thousands, and there are some fish ladders and devices to try and help them. Maybe I could do another video or another trip where we go and take a look at some of those fish ladders. Of course, there are some places in the Northwest where they're removing dams, but this is not probably going to be one of those systems because it's super important to the economies of this whole area. So, yeah, I learned a little bit more, some factoids for you. I'm hearing a lot of shotgun fire, waterfowl, ducks, I think is what they're hunting. There's also a lot of pheasant I've been seeing around. So, yeah, and yeah, it's turned out to be a nicer afternoon as the day's carrying on, and it'll be getting dark probably by 5 o'clock again tonight. So, enjoy it while it's here. Thank you, Potholes. Here are the coyotes. In front of us is Orion. The sword there on Orion is actually, there's a nebula behind that center star. All right, so after the brutal day yesterday, and I'm going to say kind of a brutal day, like it wasn't dumping snow on me or anything, but it was dumping wet, misty rain, and we're in the desert. There's not a lot of rain that hits. I think I experienced a lot of the precipitation in the year that they get. They only get 8 inches a year here. That's what she said. Excuse my language there. Again, these are PG-13 videos. But, yeah, they're... Yesterday was cold, and it was hard on morale because I just couldn't stay warm. I don't know, it was just the wet air, I think, was the big indicator. So, yeah, we got a lot of fishermen out today, duck hunters. There's a lot of waterfowl. You might have just heard some shots. So, a lot of firearms in the park right now, and luckily they're shooting out towards the water, hopefully. But 'tis the season. Holiday duck on the menu. Love you all for watching, and go get your adventures in, no matter how big or small. Put me to shame. Go do something cool. Life's short, and all these little moments add up. Okay, see ya. So I just wanted to grab a video. We got the Cascades this way. You can see out the Potholes Reservoir is just massive. And, you know, naturally it was smaller. I'll have to figure out the exact dimensions, but then they filled it. So it's significant. And you can see a larger landscape here. There's a lot of agriculture. Obviously that reservoir is the source of all that water. Yeah, windy. And we're heading this way. That way. To the Ginko Petrified Forest for the final chapter of our adventure today. Petrified Forest State Park. We've got something interesting here. It's the some sort of like basalt flow with the preserved logs right there. These all look like Doug fir to me. I mean, I don't know. Is that Ginko or is that Doug fir? It kind of looks like Doug fir. Can you imagine this is a branch from... millions of years ago. I don't really know exactly how long. Kind of neat to camp out here. Wow. Standing in the path of some of the largest floods ever known. There was an ice dam that was more than 2 miles wide and 30 miles long. Wow. A lobe of at least a half-mile high block. Wow, the ice dam failed and that's what fucking made it strip through. Oh my god, Beacon Rock. What's up, guys? What's up, hi? That's crazy, dude. Wow. So that's where these Vantage things come from. Wow, dude. That's wild, man. Wow. Wow, that's cool, man. I might have to go check out that museum, but I don't think I could probably film in there. Look at this. Wow. You can see the ancient wood. Chunks of basalt. Rattlesnake. Oh, really? I wonder if rattlesnakes sleep like hibernate. I'm not really sure. Wow. Wow, Indian petroglyphs. Symbols of man and animal. Wow. 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 Oh my God, this is a gem. I didn't know this was here. What? Wow. A deer? Cross of some sort or something. I don't know. Wow. Snake. Man with a bow. A lot of ungulates. Wow. Now that is really cool. It's that bridge we came in on. Came down that way. It's cool. Wow.
There's a cedar. So cool. 30 species now. Could use a change one. I guess you got space now. No, it's really something. Acacia tree. That's interesting. I've done. I see sycamore, oak, maple. That's really interesting. Looks like there's two trees, like two different trees there. So two different range structures. Birch. Ginko. Wow. Interesting in bend. And also, nothing any tree that can falls. Calistoga, California. Interesting. It's a very pretty display. Wow. Monkey tree. striations on that. That's gorgeous. Those are tree rings. Those are millions of years old. Now that cedar. Wow, look how thick those rings are. Oh my gosh. Wow, look at that spruce. That's dug for with wormholes. Wow. Hmm. Can see the bark. That's really something. Wow. Very, very impressive display, huh? Wow.
Arriving here at the Ginko Petrified Forest. We'll take a look. There's some interesting dinosaur sculptures here.